play at a third time. So let's not focus on the great game. Let's focus on the great play. Let's play with passion, let's play with love, let's play with responsibility, let's play with respect for one another.
How you feel? How you feel?
Morning. I don't want you to focus on, because if I ask you right now, do you want to have a great game? All y'all gonna say yes, right? I want you to focus on, I want to have a great play. I want to have a great play. Then the next play, I want to have.
What is up inside the locker room, HBCU Central, and we are back with another episode. And look, I know we got a new face today, and I told y'all, I said we were going to get into the softball and baseball content, and what to start it off with a better guest than Miss Ryen Gaddis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining.
My voice is just now coming back, y'all, because I was so loud the first game because I was so excited. So
yeah, and actually, shout out to y'all for winning that series 2-1 against Western Illinois. I know you had a good game the first game. Keep the good work going up for the rest of the season. But look, just kick off this interview. Look, my first question is, why did you choose UAPB, and just what stood out about UAPB to you? Because a lot of people we know when they're looking for offers, for college offers, they're trying to go to the bigger schools. And like I told you and Michael before, like we feel like HBCUs, they got to get more love, and we got to get more players of our color going there. So my question to you is just, what about UAPB stood out to you?
I feel like, well, for me, I always wanted to play at the HBCU, but last year I had went the JUCO route, and I played there, but I still wanted to play for softball for HBCU. So I was emailing coaches, and Coach Bumpers was like one of the only coaches that really got back to me. And he was like, he still was like contacting me, even though I had never been on a visit, or like he never like came and watched me play. I just like, sent my film and stuff. And he just continued to talk to me and like show me support and love. And then I came on a visit, when the season was over. And yeah, it was just like, just immediate love and just, support. So, yeah, I just decided to go here, and then it's just been great ever since. Like, it's just a really good community base. Like, I was really happy about my decision. And I tell my family back home, all my friends, everybody, I love it here. It's not even just about, D1 and all that stuff. It's like, it just feels like a good community base and family. I just felt really accepted, from like school to living to the softball team.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this because here at Grambling, I feel the exact same way. I just feel like when I'm around, my people, I just feel like I'm safe. I feel like everybody's my family. I feel like I can connect with everybody. Then I was able to back home. And that's just my stance on being at HBCU. I always want to fit in. I always want to be around our people. I always want to see excellence, around our culture and our community.
Agreed. And I grew up, around, just watching HBCU. It started when I was just 7 years old, and my uncle Pat, Lord rest his soul, he was a big Grambling fan, and just going to Grambling, football and basketball, and then just seeing a little bit of baseball, it was just and softball. It just made me understand more and more as I went along in my lifestyle that HBCUs is not just about going there. It's about the legacy and the culture and the soul of just being on the HBCU campus. And, and it starts with the band. A lot of people think that, HBCUs is just a smaller school to go to just because it's easy to go to. Of course, that's what the Power 5 people are going to think. But what you have to understand is, and I tell people all the time, is that it's not easy to go to HBCU. But what you have to understand is that it's a soul thing. It's a legacy. It's a history. Every HBCU has a history. Our ancestors, when they couldn't even go to these Power 5 schools, they had to go to HBCUs. And our ancestors made HBCUs the way they are. And that's just what people have to understand. And I completely love everything about HBCUs because HBCUs, I think, in my opinion, is better than Power 5 schools. And I don't think Power 5 schools can compete with the bands or the team or really the athletic in general. But I wrote this down, Ms. Ryen, because I feel like this statement needs to be put out. While the Power 5 gets TV deals, HBCU softball offers a raw, high-stakes brand of play that many people argue is better version of the sport. But here's the realistic case for why HBCU games stand out. Number two. Well, first let me put this number one: authentic atmosphere and joy. Power Five games can feel clinical and overly corporate. HBCU softball is a cultural event. What I mean by that is the vibe between the music, the crowd engagement, and the dugout energy. Like you just said not too long ago, I hope you get your voice back. But I can understand, just having the joy and the rhythm. That's kind of what I wrote down here. There is a visible sense of joy and rhythm in the game, especially in dugout energy. It's not just a sport. Here's the thing, and I think this is going to trip you out. It's not just a sport, it's a celebration. You won't find more electric atmosphere
It
games
really,
than it is. Would you say
it
that?
really is a celebration. It really is. Like I really felt that when you said that because it's like, softball is like really a predominantly white sport. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
that, but like where I'm from Oklahoma City, so like growing up, I knew all the girls that played softball in my city. Like I knew, and it was probably about five.
right.
Mind you, I probably hadn't like spoke to them until like I was like in high school, maybe some of them. But
Wow.
it's like growing up. You can count. It's like growing up, and then like just being here is a celebration. Like we actually
Mhm.
have girls that look like me that are good at softball, even though it's
Yeah,
yeah. That's really that. It really is a celebration. Like people do not understand. Like I actually am happy to be here.
right.
Like
And
this is
that's
different.
of course, absolutely. And that actually leads to my next point: more playing time for elite talent in the Power Five blue chip. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Um, okay. It's more playing time for elite, talent. In Power Five, the blue chip recruits often sit on the bench for 2 years behind fifth year seniors. But in reality, here it is. At an HBCU, a player like you or other top talents can start as a freshman and become the face of the franchise. This allows for faster player development and more compelling narrative for fans following a player's 4 year journey. So my first question to you is it's called the clutch factor. In the series opener against Western Illinois, you went 2 for 3 and scored the go ahead run, which I saw that by the way. That's why I DM'd you. I hope I went to you on a professional level. I tried
Oh no,
to.
I no,
but
you did great.
my question to you is, what was your mindset at the plate during that decisive 6 inning rally?
My mindset was like, I got this. Like, it's just like I just like I'm really good in like tough situations because I can handle it. I feel like in sports in general, a lot of people they might not be able to handle like the pressure when it comes to like towards the end of the game. Like we need this, but I feel like for me, I when I like play, it's like a mindset like we have to win. Like I have to do everything I can to win, and so that's why I like learned how to do so many different things in softball. Like I can bunt, I can slap, I can hit for power. Developed all of those things just so when it's like tough situations, the other team doesn't know what I'm going to do. So yeah, I just simplified it honestly. Like I feel like in the beginning of games, it's first games, you just want to go hard and give all you have, show them that you really want to be out there. And I feel like that's what we were doing. But like towards the end, I kind of like just simplified everything, calmed my mind down, and just, made it easier for me. Like pick apart the other team, pick apart what the pitcher's doing. I feel like just going up there like thinking smartly instead of just I have to hit the ball. It definitely helped me a lot.
And this, like, you made a great point with that. And what I just want to ask you, because y'all are currently sitting at 2-1. Y'all just won the series against Western Illinois. Y'all are getting ready for y'all's tournament coming up. What is just y'all's biggest focus just coming into this season and just keeping this hot streak going throughout the season? Because right now, the more wins y'all get, the more harder y'all will get as a team. And that's going to be a harder and harder and a scarier team to face.
Yeah. Coming in, we didn't really have too many games in the fall, so I feel like everyone just didn't know what to really expect with our first games, and I feel like the fact that we went 2-1 shows a lot. Cause I mean, we can only develop from there. I don't feel like you can go down from the first game. You're only gonna go up because you're seeing more reps. You're getting more, feedback from coaches because they're seeing you in live action. So I feel like it's only gonna get better. So I'm really excited for the season because I feel like because I think they had made like a ranking like and we weren't like on points scored this season for SWAC on our team, and I don't think it was that high. And I feel like that also too is definitely motivation for our team because we have a lot of talent. We really do. And yeah, I think it's just gonna come together and we're just gonna it's just gonna get better from there, honestly.
Yeah, and it like the more games y'all, and this relates to all sports, football, basketball, baseball, soccer. It as the more consistent y'all get, the harder the team will get, and the more momentum y'all will get carrying into the season. That's why I say this upcoming tournament that y'all play in. I hope that y'all win every game so y'all can keep continuing to continue to finish this season off on a hot note. Michael.
Thank
I
you.
think they will, honestly, because like I said, it takes a real, as my mom always say, it takes a real common sense person to understand just where a team is at, and you have to, you can't really base it on what you feel. You have to base it on what you see. And what I see out of y'all's group in general is that, like I've told dudes, it's very competitive. It's a lot of energy in that dugout. And here's the thing that people don't understand about softball, especially to use that when you have an energetic dugout, you have an energetic on field performance. And that's at any level for sure. But I'm talking about HBCU style. Because that's the thing. If you want to compare Power Five schools and HBCUs, it's a different style of celebration. Like I just said before, it's a celebration. It's not just an event, it's a celebration. And when you have an energetic dugout, you have an energetic team, and then that transitions onto the field, which causes you to have more of a dynamic win. And especially like the tournament that's coming up, it gives it gives your team and you the opportunity to express just how much energetic and focus that y'all have in the dugout. But my next question to you is it's kind of a simple but it's kind of a realistic question. It's called overcoming adversity. Even though softball is a game of failure and adjustments, can you describe a time you faced a significant slump or challenge and the specific steps you took to overcome it? Even though before I even let you answer that, what I mean by that is that every single level softball is it's always every team is gonna fail and every team is gonna adjust. But what I mean is that like I just said before, can you describe a time that you had a slump or a challenge, and what steps did you take mentally to get better to overcome that?
Um, all I can think about right now is maybe like last season, in the beginning of the season, I probably didn't play as much, and I'm like, and that definitely bothered me because I'm like not really. I don't think I'm like used to being one of those players because I feel like I am a clutch player, so I feel like just my first year playing college softball, I wasn't used to not playing, and I feel like that like definitely was definitely hard because in college, we go hard every day. Like we don't have days off, especially JUCO. You really don't have days off, and we in JUCO, we there's no like hours put on the practice time. So we would probably go 6 hours a day every day for the whole fall, and
Right.
and preseason. You know what I'm saying? So I think just going through all of that and having all these tough conversations, and then still not being able to play even though you feel like you should be, I think
Mhm.
it's very humbling. I feel like a lot of players need it because it builds character in it, and I feel like it helps you like see the game as bigger than you going out and making all the plays. You can like like you just you can you it really humbles you honestly, and I feel like me personally, I just like accepted it instead of like going against the grain and being mad about it. I accepted it and figure out in other ways how I could help. And then I also talked to God about it a lot because it really was bothering me for sure. I definitely talked to God about it, and that situation definitely helped me like build a relationship with Him. But yeah, I think just accepting it and then seeing and then still doing me, like going hard at practice and showing all that I have, not complaining, accepting things for how they are. I got my chance, and I took on, and I literally got a first team for my first semester of college. So I mean, I didn't start that season, but I ended the season starting. So I mean, I don't think you could get better than that.
So, and like just speaking on all of that, you come into this season, you're fresh with the UAPB squad. Just what is your just, and this is my last question. What is your just biggest goal just to close off the season, and just your biggest goal yourself, just throughout the season that you want to make for yourself?
Um, my biggest goal would definitely probably be getting first team in SWAC, just because like like new conference, new team. Let's let's show 'em what I got. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
on a bigger level, I feel like on this team, I really just want to like play my part. Help out wherever I can. We have a big squad, a lot of outfielders, and I want everybody to get their time. So, I, whatever my whatever my position is, whatever my coach wants from me, I just want to be that and be there for my team. Honestly, just be able to help everybody. You know, just be there for my team. Really,
Right.
yeah.
A team is a family. It's not. I mean, every team is a team. But I look at team as a family thing. If I'm on football, those are my brothers. And softball, those are your sisters. As the people say back in the hood, sisters from another mother. So it's that's kind of what you have to look at it, and God gives us opportunities, when we don't see opportunities. And even though when we feel like our time is up, God can basically, tell you that you might think your time is up, but your time is just beginning. So I'm gonna say to you, your time is still beginning, and I'm glad that you realize that, even despite your adversities, you're human, you're gonna go through adversity, but it takes a real person to let just sit back and let God handle those things. And that's what I've learned over time. So I'm glad that you touch base on that, because that's good, because there's nothing more bigger than God. We're not bigger than God. What we do on here at HBCU Central is that we're not doing this for fame. We're not doing this for viewership. We're not doing this for followers. What we're doing is that we're trying to help HBCUs around the world as much as we possibly can, because you can add fame in if you want, but that's not what me and Deuce are chasing. That's not what Inside the Locker Room is chasing. What we're chasing is we're trying to make a statement to all HBCUs that don't sleep on HBCUs, because HBCU pride is HBCU legacy, and that's just the bottom line. But my last question to you for today is, and I think Deuce kind of stole the question from me, but as far as HBCU excellence, what does it mean to you to represent a Division One HBCU great like University of Arkansas Pine Bluff on the national softball stage?
Honestly, I'm just, I'm really just grateful for the opportunity. Honestly, just, I just want to go out there and give it my all. You know, just that's all I can do. Just show my gratitude. Honestly, like yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. That's it. Like just happy to be a part of it. I feel like when you dream something for so long and it's
Yes,
finally here, you really don't have any words, and that's what I've been telling my family since I got here. I have no words. I've never been more happy in my life.
love it.
And Miss
And
Gaddis,
there's
we are
like
glad. Oh,
there's no other way to put it.
and Miss Gaddis,
Right.
like we are so glad that you love your HBC, you're happy where you're at. And me and
Yes.
Michael to you, we hope that we wish that you and the UAPB softball squad, y'all close out the season on a strong note. Y'all
Yes.
win that championship, because look, we are believing you. Not for Grambling, but for all HBCUs, we're wishing the best for every HBCU out there. SWAC, MEAC, CIA, SEAC, all of them. But Miss Gaddis, thank you for joining what you call our podcast, sports talk show, as our first softball guest. You're always welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for joining. And
Thank
Michael,
you.
you got anything else to say?
No, just thank you so much, first of all, for actually DMing me back and, understanding that we are, professional. And not only that, accepting the cover that we made for you. For all HBCU players, we make covers, to put y'all on the national spotlight. If we give, first of all, yeah, if we give out a wrong picture, because when I sent it, dude, when I sent it to her, she was like, that's not me in the background. I'm like, oh, snap. And I was like, oh, like, wait. And then when I realized what you said, I was like, oh, yeah, that's how we set up the background. So what we do is, for people that don't know, we put our HCC players in the very bottom with their name on top of them, and then the background, that's just our little art that we give out, just make it look professional, because we want to be more professional as possible with scheduling and communication with players like you, guys. But we thank you so much for understanding the professionalism that we're trying to do and understanding the vision of HBCU Central. And I pray that one, you get your voice back, and two, that you stay in good health, and three, that your season goes on a high level and it stays that way. We appreciate you. God bless you, and have a wonderful, peaceful day. Okay?
Thank you
Or have
guys as
have a
well.
great
I
evening.
appreciate y'all. This is
Yes,
a I
ma'am.
like this. Y'all are doing great.
Thank you.
We
Thank you,
appreciate you.
Michael. So, it's been a lot in the HBCU world. The combine. We've been preaching this for so long. We felt like our HBCU players, they needed, to get this invite to the combine. And yeah, you got the Legacy Bowl, you got all this stuff for HBCUs, but it doesn't matter if they're not getting invited to the combine. And the
Right.
combine is what allows these players to go to the national level.
Yes.
Um, Honestly, I'm gonna tell you this how I felt about it. I felt some type of way about it because there's so many HBCUs, and I was telling Michael about this. The FCS, even the FCS schools, not HBCUs, FCS schools are being impacted by this. Um, it's transfer portal, NIL. These players are all going to these big schools, and look, you can't. I say this: you can't blame a player because they want the national spotlight for themselves. They want better for themselves, but at the
Right.
same time, I think like for the HBCU side of things, like for the NFL, why not just have like an HBCU combine where scouts come and look at the HBCU players if they're not going to get invited to the combine? I always believe this: everybody of color needs chance, and
Yes.
it maybe doesn't have to do with no race or nothing,
Mhm.
but the fact that zero players were invited to the combine is just mind blowing to me because there's so many players out there, all SWAC, all MEAC, that could have made it. There were players left and right in that legacy bowl that you could have invited to the draft. And I hope the players, the NFL scouts and the NFL offices are watching this legacy bowl that you so-called host, but don't invite the players to the combine. That's my take on that, Michael. Like I said, next year I hope that more players get a combine. But this is why I say HBCUs need that exposure. You can't
Right.
get that exposure if they're not like players can't get that exposure if nobody's helping them.
Right. And dudes, I'm just gonna read off here. I'm not even gonna go give my off script thoughts, because I'm like, give my off script thoughts, we're gonna be here for a long time. But dudes, from what I wrote down and from what I read, basically advocates, coaches, and agents argue that this shutout is unfair for several systematic reasons. Number two, first, dudes. Number two, I was gonna go number one, but for the sake of time, I'm not gonna do that. Systematic scouting limitations. Dudes, there is a strong argument that the issue is not a lack of talent, but is a systematic failure in discovery. What I mean by that, Deuce, is when I say lack of investment, agents like Rashida Liberty, if I said her name correctly, that there's literally a link for that, argue that teams do not properly invest in on-campus evaluations, often relying on behind the desk. That's right, I said it. Behind the desk film review late in the draft process rather than in-person visits to HBCUs. No, number two, institutional bias. Excuse me. The scouting infrastructure often prioritizes Power Four schools, creating a level of competition discount that disproportionately affects HBCU athletes. Number three, Deuce, the transfer portal penalties. The modern landscape of college football has rerouted the pipeline. First dot, forced mobility. Deuce, analysts point out that if a player flashes elite potential at an HBCU, they often recruited away by Power Four programs by the transfer portal. It's not fair, but you like Deuce just said, you have to understand that this is the reason why players are going to these FCS and Power Five schools for better film production and better media attention. And it
I
shouldn't
my,
even take
I hate to cut you off, Michael. I don't like how people now the FCS division is being used as a stepping stone to get to the FBS level, like how players use the JUCO route, to get to the FCS level. And to anybody watching, I don't care what your opinion is, it's not right that these players should have to feel like they can't compete on a smaller level and get exposure. When I tell you, as the years go on, it's like less and less people from HBCUs are getting these invites, to the combine. Like the last Grambling player I actually remember going to the combine and getting drafted was Chad Williams. That's the one I can visibly remember, and that was like 2016. And I may be wrong. I may be wrong. But that's my point is I feel like nowadays, back then, you could go to FCS school and you could be really good. You could be really good, and the team could be really good. And scouts would go to that school and offer you, get you a combine invite, look at you. But now, oh, their scouts are there, but it's not as much as it used to be. They're all at these Power Five schools, and yes, they got TV deals. But if I'm the NCAA committee, I gotta help not even just the HBCUs, my smaller schools, my FCS schools that need that exposure, that need players going to the league. I, I'm always gonna be like 50-50 on it because look, I always agree. Like, yes, you can go to a bigger school like Tech and Bama to get film, like better film, and that's gonna help you get the easiest path to the draft. But I don't know. It should be for the smaller schools, they should have the same type of opportunity to send players to the draft with the same. And yes, they're not gonna have as much TV recognition and the media did, but they should have more. Man,
right.
why it's like I feel like HBCUs they get streamed on HBCU. I mean not HBCU, but ESPNU or ESPN2. Why not
Okay.
ESPN1?
Right.
We barely get ABC games, and that's what the Celebration Bowl and probably the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Nah,
Mhm.
it's just that's not gonna buy it for me. Mm-mm.
The NIL and the guy literally said this on a podcast one day that I saw on Instagram. He specifically said that the NIL has killed the HBCU culture. Dudes, back then, our ancestors were top talented players. As a matter of fact, let me also make this statement. I don't
Well,
know if dudes, I don't even know if you know the movie, but it's called The White Tiger.
yes, I
Dude,
was just watching that the other day.
I literally saw that on Instagram. And dudes, he was the first, I cannot think of his name at the top of my head, but he was the first white player to come to an HBCU. And people looked at him while he was crazy. But if you watch the movie, dudes, he specifically said that I love it here. I don't see why other people like me don't go here. He understood the HCU culture. He understood Eddie G. Robinson. He even understood, Deuce, here it is, Grambling State University. Deuce,
Michael.
he became an icon
Yes.
as the White Tiger, first white player to ever come to an HBCU.
And
But
I feel like players shouldn't have to feel like it's a neglect to come to HBCU. Like it's gonna hurt them. Andrew Body, I give so much props to because he could have transferred out of Bama State and went, he had offers from UNT, Cincinnati. He had offers from a bunch of P4 schools and G5 schools.
what did he
But
realize?
he stayed at Alabama State because he realized I have a better chance playing here. Better chance
Yes.
playing here. I've already started this and we had a great momentum last year. Why not
Yes.
go into it for next season? And look, I'm not giving no, I'm not hating on anybody that from an HBCU that went to a PWI because Grambling had a few players go to transfer out, and I'm happy for them. You like Keith Jones, he went to Penn State, got a whole offer from Penn State. I'm happy for him. You get that exposure, but still for the players here at the HBCUs, like who are trying to get a name for themselves, the seniors, the juniors, the redshirt seniors. It's not helping for them if they're not getting able to get those offers to go to the bigger level, but they have to compete on the smaller level. I believe equal opportunity from everybody, the FCS level and the FBS level.
Yes, and dudes, let me also point this out to you. First of all, it should not take a 4 or 5 star recruit to go to schools like LSU. Should not go to schools like Tulane University, even though those are great colleges.
That's why when Travis Hunter shocked the world and committed to Jackson State, the world didn't know what, and what you call it. The world didn't know how to react when he went to Jackson State. But you know how we felt? We felt like, okay, you come and work somewhere, you're going to get the spotlight. And what happened when he went to Jackson State? The media exposure was there. When the players are at these schools, I guarantee you, media exposure will come, and it shouldn't take no big name coach like Deion Sanders to come. But it should. I believe that more talented players just need to come to our HBCUs and FCS schools at that. And let these TV deals see that these teams are playing. Michael, I can count there's more games on my hand that I can count that the SWAC had this year, basketball and football, that were instant classics to me. Instant classics. There should be no reason that Jackson State versus Grambling in Las Vegas is streamed on HBCU Go. That's a game that should be on ESPN, ABC.
That's a rivalry for HBCU Central. It's games like the Bayou Classic that, dudes, even the Bayou Classic is not even put on ESPN. It's games like the State Fair Classic or the Florida Classic between Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. They don't even get the
I'm gonna say this though,
CBS recognition.
I give the props to NBC though for actually covering the Bayou Classic for as long as they have, because the exposure they have done to the Bayou Classic has been phenomenal. But look, Michael, I'm gonna say this really quick, because overall, I just feel like it's time for players to start realizing, like, you don't have to prove your worth at an FBS school. You can come at an FCS school, you can come to an HBCU, and you can have the same type of legacy that Andrew Body is about to leave at Alabama State. And there should be no issue with that, because I guarantee you this: if you don't get drafted in the top 3 rounds, he's still gonna get drafted, because what he did last year should put a lot of players on us, and I guarantee you he's better than a good amount of G5 players up there at that level.
Exactly. And dudes, let me say this really quick. The fourth thing that I'm going to say is professional opportunity, but we talked about this. The combine is a critical platform for medical evaluations and interviews that often determine a player's draft stock. The 9 HBCU players, this stage forces them to rely on alternative showcases such as the HBCU Legacy Bowl, which, while valuable, does not offer the same universal visibility or standardized testing environment as the Indianapolis event. Now, here's a realistic reality of the 2026 Combine sub. There's 0 on the 319 player NFL Combine invite list is a systematic indicator on how the transfer portal has rerouted the HBCU to NFL pipeline. Like I said, there's the portal. Finishing school. Elite talent often leaves HBCUs for Power 4 programs to secure visibility. For instance, Jamar Taylor, Virginia, and Kevin Coleman Jr., Missouri, were invited to the 2026 Combine, but here it is, only after transferring out of North Carolina Central and Jackson State, respectively. Scouting bias versus market shift. Critics argue that NFL scouts increasingly rely on verified production at the FBS level as a risk of mitigation, overlooking outliners who stay at HBCUs for their full careers. Like I said, dudes, the HBCU Legacy Bowl, our missions. While the 2026 HBCU Legacy Bowl remains the premier showcase for roughly 75 through 100 top prospects, could be more, the absence of certain talented players often boils down to two factors: selection criteria. In invitations, prioritize draft eligibility, seniors, and high priority NFL prospects like Kevon King, Norfolk State, and William Atkins, South Carolina State. Number two, external opportunities. Some top tier HBCU players skip the Legacy Bowl if they have already secured invites to higher profile senior bowls like the Reese's Senior Bowl, or if they choose to focus solely on their pro day performances to avoid injury risk. Here's the true statement here, and this is the closer right here. A lack of invites do not equal a lack of NFL ability. Historical data shows that HBCU players like Jacoby Durant and Joshua Williams, 2022 draftees, became key NFL contributors despite shifting combine numbers. The modern HBCU prospect must now navigate a system that values institutional branding as much as individual athleticism, making alternative stages like HBCU Combine and regional pro days more critical than ever. Deuce, HBCU players need recognition. It should not take them to go to a FBS like Tech, ULM, Tulane, LSU to see that. And it shouldn't take a four-star running back out of Nebraska like Grambling just committed, or Southern, who are both killing the recruitings. But check this out. All these players that Southern and Grambling are getting all together, and many other HBCUs, are Power 5 prospects, 4 or 5-star players. It should
Coming
not
right back to coming, but you know the craziest part. These are 4 and 5, 4-star prospects that went to a PWI, sat behind, got playing time, and realized, okay, let me come back to an HBCU. Oh wow, why didn't I just do that before? And why didn't I just why didn't I just come to the smaller school at first and get my film? Players are so quick to jump to the higher level because they think. I always tell this: players are so quick to jump to the higher level because they think they're gonna get instant playing time. No. At the HBCU, though, you're more likely to get playing time. I say this, Michael. Did Grambling not rotate through 6 running backs in one game?
Yes,
Did they not rotate through what? It was like 3 quarterbacks. Grambling. One thing I say about Grambling, everybody on that squad, or at least majority of everybody, got an opportunity to play last year.
They did.
Third string Hayden Benway. A freshman. Trusted his guts. Came to Grambling. He sat and waited. And what happened? Despite an injury, and look, I'm still prayers to T-Set, prayers to Mr. Fry and all of them. But still, he gets it. No, actually, let me say that he was a 4th string. That's better. He's a 4th string, and he gets his opportunity. He just waits, and now he is going to be competing for that starting spot next year.
Yes, and see that's the thing. And let me also say this, because I know a lot of people are like, HBCU players, they don't get, these recruits, they don't get a chance to play HBCUs either. That's highly likely than playing at a Power 5 school. Yes, that is true. Now, we're not saying that HBCUs are not, kind of like Power 5 schools. But what you have to understand about HBCUs is that every player gets a chance to play compared to other schools like LSU, Tulane, Georgia, Texas University, and all these other Power 5 schools. You don't see that. And like we just stated, Andrew Body was going to leave Alabama State. But what he realized in reality is that they was not going to treat me, a top SWAC player of the year like me, like the SWAC or like the HBCUs in general have treated me. And that's exactly why he came back to Alabama State, because he knew that if he went to all these other schools that wanted him, they was not going to treat him the same way. So that's what we're trying to say here, is that HBCUs are better for some of these players that these bigger schools are doing. And let me also say this. I'm going to say this to camera right here. To Power 5 schools, stop playing with these players' lives if you're not going to use them. Don't recruit them if you're not going to use them, because you're wasting valuable time on their lives. There are top prospects And the difference between Power 5 and HBCU is that HBCU, you get a chance to play. They are highly likely any top recruits that don't play at the HBCU because there are many coaches like Mickey Joseph and Prairie View's head coach, or like TC Taylor, who use all of their weapons because every player has the opportunity to make noise. It's just a matter of are you going to use them or are you just going to waste their valuable time? And that's what I don't like.
Agreed.
But Deuce, we're going to jump into our next topic.
Yeah, so our next topic, our final topic is, Michael, I was telling you this last week. We were talking about how Bethune has been the best team in the SWAC. I still believe they're the best team in the SWAC. But we also said this episodes ago. You cannot sleep on Alcorn's basketball team. And what they do, the one of the worst teams in the SWAC came and beat Bethune.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that, Michael?
Deuce, I don't recall myself saying this, but it was going to take one team. It was going to take one team to knock Bethune-Cookman off their game. That's one thing about conference play. No matter how hot a team can be, it takes one team. That's in any level of the game in general. It takes one team. It can be the sorriest team, or it can be that team that's just average, or it's a team that's better.
And you could see that, but I mean not Bethune, but Alcorn wanted that because they took them down to the final. They only won 2 points. They took them down to the final buzzer. And that's what, look, when you compete as hard as you do, it's like that sometimes. Bethune is a very good program, like a very good program. And look, let me say this about Bethune. Due to this loss, I still think that y'all are gonna continue to perform how y'all, did. One loss, I always say this: there's trap games, but it's about how you recover from these games. Bethune is a good enough program, to bounce back and continue to win these games. But Alcorn, use this as because you're one of the only teams to beat Bethune in the SWAC. You use this as a stepping stone, and you continue to. Mike, what I tell you last week, you got to have momentum going into the tournament. You want to have some momentum going into the tournament because it just gives your team that fire, that you want to win. You want to come out and win. And Alcorn is on the right track right now. They're sitting at 6-18. They're sitting at 6-18, but the conference record isn't the best, but it is getting better. And look, and we always say this, and we told this to Mr. James last week from Mississippi Valley. It all really matters when you get in the tournament, because it matters when you get in the tournament because that's when you have to really prove yourself. But I told this to you, Michael, it never hurts to go into the tournament, with momentum. And that is what Alcorn is doing right now. I'm pulling up the Alcorn. Give me a sec. Alcorn, they're playing FAMU right now. And unfortunately, they're not going to win that game. But you got a Prairie View. You close out the season against Jackson State, who they've beaten already. A Jackson State team they've beaten already. Texas Southern, Prairie View, Valley, and Pine Bluff. Winnable games. That's all winnable games. And let me say this. We are closing down. Actually, it's closer to the SWAC tournament than you think. So a lot of these teams, you're about to start seeing faster ball play. And you're about to see teams trying to make a hot streak. But, Michael, what are your thoughts on? You got anything to add to that?
Yeah, Deuce. I'm going to just give you the game breakdown, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Well, first, let me say this. In a major upset, Alcorn, State University, a 6-18 regular season record and a 5-7 SWAC conference record. Snap Bethune-Cookman, who is 13-12 in regular season and 10-2 in the SWAC, 8-game winning streak with a thrilling 57-55 come from behind victory at Davy L. Whitney Complex. Deuce, the game breakdown, the game winner, with just 4 seconds remaining, and the score is tied. Jameer Morris, I believe I said his name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. Delivered a baseline lob to Shane Lancaster, who scored the deciding layup. Deuce, we're going to touch back on that in a second. The turning point, though, Bethune-Cookman led by as many as 14 points and held a 32-25 advantage at halftime. However, here it is. Alcorn State dominated the second half, 32-23, clamping down defensively to force 23 Wildcat turnovers. Well, I just said before, Deuce, it was going to take one team to knock Bethune-Cookman or any good team off their feet. We've seen it happen in FBS. We're seeing it in HBCUs. That's one thing that's similar about these conferences. Key performers. Alcorn State Amari Hamilton led the Braves with 11 points, while Shane Lancaster added 10 points, including the winning bucket. Bethune-Cookman, Daniel Razan recorded a game-high 13 points and 7 rebounds, while, I believe I'm saying his name right, Terrio Morris added 11 points. The stat of the night, dudes. Here it is. The Wildcats' high-powered offense was stymied by 23 turnovers, which Alcorn capitalized on to fuel their late game surge. Dudes, what we talk about all the time. It takes one team to knock a good team like Bethune-Cookman off their feet. And what is one thing that they did that is textbook in the rules and in the game of basketball? I just said it. Alcorn. Let me say it again for the people that didn't hear me in the back. Listen closely. Which Alcorn State capitalized. They stymied the Wildcats' high-powered offense by getting them to have 23 turnovers, which did what? It capitalized onto fuel their late game surge. Deuce Alcorn took the opportunity and they didn't look back. And because they didn't look back, they ended up winning in a clutch play. Now let's be honest. The game went overtime, and this is no shame or no shame or bias or anything like that Bethune Cookman. Because there's one thing, make no mistake, Bethune Cookman is a threat in the men's basketball SWAC conference play. They still are. Even though, despite of them losing Alcorn State, they're still dangerous to me. And I believe that you're not going to see another loss like this. It was a wake-up call to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it was. But don't expect to see more of this. You might see more of this. Who knows? But it can sometimes take one, it can sometimes take two, three, maybe four. It takes one team or more to knock a team off their feet.
Yeah,
And that's what Alcorn State did. They made a statement and they proved our point. And no matter how hot a team is, it's still conference play.
Michael,
And the upset is possible.
I'm gonna say this really quick because I know we didn't even have this plan, but Grambling just lost to Prairie View 63-68. Look, Grambling has lost 3 in a row now, and they're about to play a good Southern team on Saturday. They got
Dude, what? Let me stop you right there.
they got 6
What,
games.
what did I say last episode? This is not, even though Grambling has an elite skilled roster, this just is
Grambling,
not
I'm
it.
sorry, Grambling. They're a very mediocre team. I really did not want to say that all season because I've had hope, and I still do have hope. I would never stop giving up hope for Graham. But
Agreed.
this conference play, they just been playing like a very mediocre team, a very average team, and you just, I don't know. I'm not trying to jump the gun like so fast. I'm not trying to jump the gun so fast on the season, but I literally just keep saying you have to go into these are teams that Grambling beat. And yes, teams can always fix their game plan and win again. But when you're losing by 3 points, 5 points, those are winnable games.
Yes.
And I just feel like this team that Grambling, they are better than what they're producing on the court right now. They're better than what they're producing on the court. And it's crazy because yes, the SWAC is very competitive, but I feel like they play better non-conference ball than SWAC play. And they traveled more for out of conference games. So I'm gonna say this really quick. If I'm Grambling's men's basketball team, to make your students proud, to make your students happy, please start winning some games. Because I'm looking at the schedule right now. It's not Grambling has one of the hardest schedules to close out the year. You play Southern, you play Valley, you play Bethune-Cookman, you play FAMU, you play Alabama A&M, and you play Alabama State. Literally 4 out of the 6 teams beat you already. So it's just like, if I'm Grambling, it has to be a wake-up call. This loss has to be a wake-up call that we need to win to close out the season. We need to finish off on a strong note. Grambling started the season off really good, and they just fell from there. And I know injuries have a lot of part to do to that, but still, next man up mentality.
Next man up mentality. That's the road the ball.
But look, Michael, do you have any other thoughts about this before we close this podcast out?
Nope. But I will say this, dudes. I'm not sleeping on Grambling just yet.
Me either.
Despite of their regular season struggles, like I said before, sometimes a team that struggles the most is a team that most of the time, surprises a whole lot of teams in conference tournament play. And I will not be surprised. Normally my decisions, normally my predictions are 50-50. I don't know everything, but I try to keep it as real as possible. But I would not be surprised if Patrick Query II and the Grambling State men's basketball program does not, I'm sorry, will make a huge run in the SWAC tournament and possibly either make the finals or wherever it is in SWAC tournament play, or make the SWAC championship. Either win out or lose out. Either way. But like I said, I'm not sleeping on Grambling, and neither should y'all. Because every team, there are many teams more than Grambling that are struggling. It takes one or two or three struggling teams to beat the number one seed, the number two seed, and the number three seed to reach the SWAC championship at the basketball level. It takes one struggling, two or three struggling teams. So I'm not
Agreed.
sleeping on Grambling, and neither should you.
Agreed. But look, to close off this podcast, because I do have to continue the rest of my night and the rest of my plans. Tired. But anyways, what you call it?
Me too.
Anyways, look, we got a lot coming up for Ace SWAC. Me and Michael will start covering baseball and softball content more, and we will have to start talking about these tournaments coming up. We got the CIA tournament coming, the MEAC tournament. All the tournaments are coming up at the end of the month, so that is what me and Michael will look to covering. And look, also now you don't have to worry about just HBCU hoops, because I figured that, look, why not on the podcast talk about all the relevant news that's going around, in the
Right.
HBCU community throughout the week. But to the ones watching, thank y'all for getting us 326 subs. Our goal is 330. Can we get, can we please get 100 views? Look,
Yes.
I know basketball and baseball isn't as popular as football, but y'all showed that y'all could be, y'all showed that y'all could get the views and stuff, and y'all could be supportive, and we are grateful for the continuous support with all of that. So thank y'all. And to any other HBCUs that are wanting to get on this podcast, you DM me or Michael, or you DM HBCU Central, and we will DM you back. Thank you for all the ones watching. Thank you for all the ones watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Like I said, our goal
Yes.
is 100 views, and our goal, actually, I want to have a good goal, a goal of 20 likes, and keep liking up our Instagram reels, and we'll continue to show the support back. And Michael, do you have any closing remarks before I close this out?
First, let me say this. First, let me thank Miss Ryan for taking the time and also putting UAPB on our episode of HBCU Central and inside the locker room. And her presence was well known. And Miss Ryan, if you are watching this, thank you again. And if you do not mind liking, commenting, and subscribing to our Inside the Locker Room segment, and also sharing our HBCU Central, because, like I said, we're trying to touch as many HBCUs as we can. If we haven't gotten to the HBCU that you represent, we apologize. We're working as hard as possible all day and all night to schedule each and every HBCU. Do not think we're leaving an HBCU out. We're trying our very hardest.
Yes, and also if we missed a date or we had to reschedule, please hit us back. We are not trying to, what you call it, do y'all any wrong. But before I also closes out, I do want to give my remarks. Prayers up to Grambling basketball assistant coach Michael Pittman.
Yes,
Yes,
mother.
unfortunately, he did pass just recently. So prayers
Yes.
up for Grand Fam, please. But as always, thank y'all for watching. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Oh, Mike, you got something else to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, first of all, thank everyone so much on HBCU Central for getting us to 150. We're 50 more away from 200 followers. Like I said, we're not doing this for follower viewership. We're doing this to just send out a message to HBCUs that we got you. As a matter of fact, I told a UAPB player earlier today, we got you. If no one else has got you, we got you because we understand. As young black men, we understand that HBCUs are being slept on and it's not fair. But we thank you for getting us 150. Please get us to 200. And please like, comment, subscribe to Inside the Locker Room. We're marching, and we're only gonna keep marching from here. But until next time, God bless you. Stay safe, stay prayed up, and until next time, grace and peace from Michael inside the locker room.
See y'all later.